Hey guys, welcome to Motoroids. This is a beautiful morning. My name is Amit and this is the much anticipated, much awaited Mahindra Scorpio N. And I did a detailed walk around of this car yesterday and now I am driving it. I have driven it for over 70 kilometers now. And I think I'm in a position now to let you know about how it drives, how the engine feels. And let me tell you at the very outset that this is a huge departure from how we have known the Scorpio to be. I still remember that the first generation car and its subsequent facelifts were still very wallowy, very wobbly, and they were not good handlers. Very well built cars, very good off-roaders, but they were not very good handlers. And this changes everything. Extensive work has been done on the chassis, on the suspension, on the steering, on the NVH levels, and this car feels like a very premium SUV, and it's not like the SUV that you have known it to be. The Scorpio has completely been transformed, and that is the big highlight on this car. Now, the most important thing about this car is that the body roll has been almost completely eliminated, and it drives like a proper sophisticated monocoque SUV. While this is a body on ladder frame chassis, but this now drives beautifully well. And while that does translate into a little bit of vertical movement when you're at very slow speeds, but as you gather a little bit of speed, it really smoothens everything out, drives beautifully well. And now everything on this car, like the chassis, the body, the suspension, everything is all new. It does not share any single component with the car that it replaces, and that really shows. The body is lighter now and the suspension has been completely reworked. Up front you now have a double wishbone suspension, and at the rear you have 5-link suspension. And to cut the body roll you also have a Watts link. What it does is essentially it counteracts when you're going around corners so that the body roll is effectively eliminated. Apart from that, one very important change that has been made to the suspension now is that it comes with frequency selective damping. And what that does is that when you're going over smaller undulations, it reacts, the damping that is, it reacts in a different manner. And when you're going over bigger bumps, it reacts in a different manner. So what that effectively does is that over a variety of undulations and rough surfaces, be it the smaller bumps like a rumble strip or the bigger bumps like say a big pothole, the suspension, especially the damping part, reacts in a different manner, and all of that really makes this car ride beautifully well. As I mentioned, at lower speeds, yes, there is a mild amount of vertical movement, but as you gather speed, that little trade-off really works in favor of the Scorpio, and it drives amazingly well. So the suspension is really the big improvement, and it drives like a proper car now. Ground clearance is pretty high. Even in a laden state, it's 187 mm, which might sound less to you, but that's the laden state, and it's more than enough for all the off-roading that you'll be doing. If you are not completely loaded, the suspension would be much higher and that clearance would be much better. Another amazing thing about this car is the beautiful refinement that you have, and you can hardly hear the engine. Right now I'm driving the diesel and I can hardly hear it. So it's just that amazing creamy smooth power delivery that we have come to expect from these new Mahindra engines. We saw it on the Thar and then on the XUV 700. You can barely hear it working, and the transmission also works beautifully well. We have the automatic here with us, and the gear shifts are also so imperceptible. They have really done a beautiful job with it. The ambient noise is barely visible. There was a lot of noise when we were leaving Chakan plant. There were a lot of trucks. You can barely hear anything at all. So it just cuts out everything so beautifully well. Mahindra have really taken this car to the next level, and I cannot stop myself from praising this car from the bottom of my heart, because they have really done a fantastic job. The engine here right now, the one that we are driving, is the M-Hawk engine, 2.2 liter turbo diesel, and the power output here is 175 PS. The torque is a stonking 400 Newton meters, and that really translates into an amazing 0 to 100 acceleration of 10.7 seconds, which is great for such a big heavy car. So the performance comes in spades. Acceleration is really second to none. There are some other cars in the segment also, but the Scorpio, for its price, just vanquishes everything else that is there in its sight. And I really have to give it to Mahindra. They have really made it very well. The steering is on the lighter side, but that's on purpose because Mahindra wanted it to be a easily maneuverable car. So not a very heavy steering, but it doesn't feel like it's vague. It feels fairly precise, and the engine has all the torque you want in the world from the very bottom of the rev range. Creamy smooth power delivery, beautiful torque. Now this engine here is 175 PS, but if you're going with the base Z2 variant, you'll have the less powerful 132 PS engine, and there the torque would also be less at 300 Newton meters. But this engine, boy oh boy, this is really amazing on all the fronts, be it the smoothness, the performance, the torque, everything. And the suspension now really allows you to drive it spiritedly around corners. So not just is it comfortable, it's also a very good handler as well. Now apart from that, if you talk about the fuel efficiency, on this diesel I managed to get a maximum fuel efficiency of 17 kmpl. So if you're driving on a highway and if you're not in a rush, 17 kmpl is the maximum fuel efficiency that you'll get. And within the city also you'd be able to get about 11 to 12 kmpl, which is amazing for such a huge car. So on the fuel efficiency front also this car really delivers. So really no complaints. I really cannot complain about this car in terms of its performance, in terms of its handling, and especially going by how the Scorpio used to be, it's a mega improvement. It's amazing. It'll also come with an all-wheel drive version, and in fact we are going for an off-roading event. So we are going to be doing the off-roading capability video separately, but on the road this car is absolutely amazing and just the perfect mix of ride and handling. A huge improvement, and the automatic transmission, the engine, the fuel efficiency, the way it responds to the throttle inputs, and also the way it feels. You really sit very high up, the bonnet feels very strong, and you do feel like you're driving a very big, very premium SUV. Apart from this engine, you also have the 2-liter turbo petrol, which is again a great powerful engine. There you have 200 PS of power. Actually the peak power in PS is 203 PS, but you have 200 bhp of power, and the torque there is 380 Newton meters, and that engine is even more powerful than this one. So the 0 to 100 time there is 9.5 seconds, which is absolutely smashing, and this car can easily do 180 kilometers per hour if you show it a straight. And honestly speaking, I just love this car. In terms of safety also, they have pulled all the stops, and it's 42% high strength steel. You have all the safety features like 6 airbags, you have traction control, vehicle stability control, you have ESP, you also have rollover mitigation, hill hold, hill descent, you name it. And Mahindra have really packed the Scorpio with whatever you could probably have thought about. Of course it does not get ADAS, but obviously that's because of cost reasons, and this is not a product where probably people would have wanted ADAS, but it's a huge improvement. And going by the way this car is driving, I'm pretty sure this is going to cannibalize the sales of the XUV 700 also, because it does look very good, and in terms of performance, in terms of comfort, it's second to none. So a completely overwhelming experience, and the Scorpio N has lived up to its promise. And if you are going to be buying any SUV, I really suggest you go ahead and take a test drive of this car. It's not a monocoque, so probably there is that wee bit of refinement. Like if you compare it with the XUV 700, the XUV 700 has that wee bit better refinement on the road, but it's hardly visible. It's very mildly perceptible, and this car really does everything that an SUV is supposed to do and more. So if you're going to be buying an SUV, go ahead and take a test drive. It's really amazing. Now you also get driving modes like the XUV 700. You get zip, zap and zoom modes, which basically are to enhance fuel efficiency or power. And apart from that, one very good thing is that you also get off-road modes, which is something which generally is available in cars which are a lot more expensive than this. And you have various different modes to choose from. You have the snow mode, you have the desert mode, you have the mud mode. So for off-road settings also, you can basically choose from various different driving modes apart from zip, zap, zoom. And in addition to that, you have 4-wheel drive high and low modes for the 4-wheel drive version. This one is a 2-wheel drive, and you basically have all of these options to choose from. Sure, there could have been a few more amenities, but for the amount of price that Mahindra is asking you for this, it's amazing. It's absolutely is delivering a lot more than what you expect in a Scorpio 2, and in my books, 100 out of 100 for what Mahindra have done with the Scorpio. I really cannot fault this car for what it's meant to do. Amazing work. So that was about the performance of the car, but you also have to talk about the design, the dimensions and the presence of this machine. And if I really have to comment about its exterior, I really have to say that the face of this car is probably the most muscular and the most imposing of all the Mahindra cars, like the true Mahindra cars that we have right now, the XUV 700 included. It's got such a butch looking high bonnet face that it really exemplifies what an SUV should look like. I really love this high bonnet and the way these muscular creases have been carved out here. From the inside, they really give you this sense of power and presence, and it does really look very muscular and very butch. I cannot probably say the same about the rear of this car, but from the front, it really means business. And this grille also has been done very, very well. These twin peaks flanked by 3 vertical chrome slats on either side. This chrome slat which extends into these beautiful headlamps. This one is a projector, this one is a normal LED light, and you have this chrome lining here and this Scorpion Sting DRL which leads to the LED projector fog lamp. You also have this vent here which allows the air to flow in and reduces the turbulence, which adds to the phenomenal NVH control that you have inside. There's absolutely no tire noise coming inside the cabin. The bonnet is high set and this lower radiator grille also has been done rather well. This skid plate, overall, all of it comes together very, very well. And even the wheel arches look very beefed up and muscular. The face of this car really, really has been done very, very well. You have this camera here, and while this car does not have a 360-degree camera, front and rear cameras do really help this car to be driven without the help of a spotter. And since this car will be driven off the road as well, I think that's a great feature to have. It's good to have a 360-degree camera, but I think this will go a long way in driving this car on bad surface without the help of a spotter. You also have front parking sensors, and before I move to the side, I want to give you some perspective on how big this car actually is. If you compare it with the outgoing Scorpio, it's 200 mm longer, 100 mm wider, although it's a little shorter at 125 mm less, but that doesn't mean that in isolation it's a small car. It's a huge, huge car because the wheelbase that it has is the same as the XUV 700. It's longer than the Safari. Yes, you heard that right, as long as the Hector Plus. And in terms of its size, it's wider than the XUV 700. It's taller than the XUV 700, although it's slightly shorter in terms of its length. So it's quite a big car. And in terms of value, if metal means value for you, the size means value to you, then this is a very big, very imposing car. Now from the side, muscular wheel arches up front and at the rear. This very strong character line goes from here, dips, goes up and then rises again over the haunches. And a similar treatment has been given to this window line, which rises up again at the rear and then goes up and ends into what Mahindra calls the Scorpion Sting. So that Scorpion Sting is here as well. Big greenhouse area, so a lot of light comes inside. You get very good visibility all around and it really suits the character of this car very, very much. The ground clearance here in the laden state is 187 mm. Mind you, laden state. So unladen state, the ground clearance would be much higher and this car can actually go off-road very easily. So you can really take it out without thinking much. As you can see, we are in the wilderness and I had to navigate my way through some really bad surfaces, no problems whatsoever. Amazing thing is that both front and rear get discs, which means that braking is amazing. The bite is very sharp and you can feel the difference immediately. 18-inch diamond cut wheels, 255 section tires, so in terms of grip it's amazing, and you have 17 inches on the lower variants. Also ORVMs are really big, mounted blinkers. One more thing about lighting that I want to bring to your notice here is that the wipers and the lighting are all automatic. This car also gets swipe out indicators, so all of that is good stuff. All LED lighting, so a lot of premium stuff going on here. The roof rails, now first of all, just look at the height of this car. It's much above my head, and this roof rail is very functional. You can load it up. It is a load bearing unit. The sunroof here is one of the widest in its class. You have a shark fin antenna, and from the side also this car looks rather nice, but as you move towards the rear, I really think Mahindra could have done a better job, because it's a wide car, it's a big car, and had these lights been aligned horizontally and not vertically, it would have really added to the visual width of this car, would have given it a sense of width, a wider stance, more squat stance, and would have probably made it look nicer from the rear. Right now it's very upright and a little MUV-ish looking. Now this entire thing here is LED. These are your swipe out blinkers, and you have these bulbs for reversing lights. Of course, you have this camera sitting here and the twin peaks right here. A big spoiler, high mount stop lamp in LED, Scorpio N branding, wash, wipe, and the tailgate is a swing open gate. But before that, have a look at the skid plate and this chrome lining as well. Now let's open the tailgate and see how much space we have here. We have loaded it up a little bit just to give you some perspective, and that's one problem with this car. With all three seats up, there is hardly any space. So as you can see, there is this duffel bag and a haversack that we have put here. Not much space. However, if you are traveling as 5 people, then you can simply flip it down like so, and then further tumble it using this strap, and then you have, I think, around 450 liters of space. And as a 5-seater, this has sufficient space to carry your luggage, but as a 7-seater, it does lack a little bit in that department. Now you also have a 12-volt power socket here, and that should really wrap up our exterior review of this car. Let's get inside and see what are the features and how much space we have there. Now let's have a look at the key before we get inside the car, and it's a flip open key with 3 buttons: lock, unlock and boot release. And although you don't have to take the key out of your pocket, it has got sensors. Now as I mentioned, you won't have to take the key out of your pocket to get inside. And as you can see, it's a proper SUV, so the seat height is pretty high, and this floorboard is definitely going to help you get inside. And what's also going to help you is this handle, which you can hold and clamber inside. But before that, let's have a look at the door panel. Soft to touch material here. All of these materials are hard, but hard wearing as well. Well finished, no complaints in terms of the finish, but this is not of the highest quality. This part is soft, as I mentioned. So the mirror can be folded using this button. Electric control. The front 2 windows are one touch down, the rear are not, and this is the lock unlock button. Then you have space for 1-liter water bottle and some more space to spare. Titanium finish door handles. Fantastic new feature is 6-way adjustable seats, and the driver's seat is also height adjustable. Lumbar support is manual. To get inside, you obviously have to climb up the footboard, and the seat here is very nicely padded, very well bolstered. Long distance, you are going to be in supreme comfort, so no complaints whatsoever about the contouring and the thigh support and the bolstering and size of the seat. You have a dead pedal. This is the button for parking sensor, and you can turn the car on or off using this button. Now the instrument console is quite intuitive, and you also have this tire direction monitor, and while going off-roading, this is a very useful feature. So it does come with that feature. It has got tire pressure monitoring system, and by pressing this button here, you can navigate through various different menus that you have and choose whatever you want: vehicle info, navigation settings, alert history, drive info, fuel info, etc. Tacho and speedo are analog. This is your fuel gauge, and this is the temperature gauge, and the central TFT screen is color. You get cruise control, voice commands, and as I mentioned, your headlamps and your wipers are automatic. So a very, very nicely done instrument console and mounted controls. D-cut steering, although this is not telescopically adjustable, this is only tilt adjustable. Now let's move on to the infotainment part. Alright, now this 8-inch screen here has the Adrenox infotainment system, and I cannot say this is the most high definition or touch responsive screen that I've seen. It's okay, there is no problem whatsoever, but this is not the richest of the screens that I've seen. Now one thing that you generally have to understand, that this is the Scorpio, and this brand is a very rugged a old school SUV brand, and you're getting all of these features, which is a great step for Mahindra. But this vehicle, its positioning is not very high up. So if you want more premium stuff, then you probably are mistaken. This was supposed to be even lower, but Mahindra have surprised us by loading it up. So whatever you see here is really amazing, understanding where this vehicle stands. Now, all of this is hard plastic, but you do get this soft touch material here, which is leatherette. The glove box also gets cooling function, which is great. And in that context, now let me talk about the buttons, which are not of the highest quality. They're okay, but not of the highest quality that I've seen. So these buttons probably could have been a little better. The dials, all of this is built to last, but not very premium to touch. These buttons are of a better quality though. And you have this camera button here. Now let me talk about this camera, because that's important. And by default, it will show you the front view, and you can see a wide angle, and you can see a split screen where you see the left and the right part of the car, and using this you can capture the screen. You can also see just the left or just the right, and you can also zoom in so that you get to see what's right ahead of the car. So in that sense, it eliminates the requirement of a spotter to an extent, of course. Once you go to reverse, the reverse camera comes on, and apart from the same functions like the wide angle and left and right and everything, you also get parallel and perpendicular parking guidelines. So that again is a good function to have, and you can capture the screen here as well. So that's about the camera. The resolution could probably have been better. There is a bit of lag also here, and all in all, it's not the richest looking screen, but not bad. Okay. Apart from this, you also get to choose from the zip, zap, zoom modes, which are basically for efficiency and power. You choose whatever you want. And for the four-wheel drive variant, you will have two buttons here for four-wheel drive low and high. And apart from that, you'll also have modes, off-road modes to choose from. You can choose from desert, mud or snow. So you also have drive modes, and it comes with a mechanical and brake lock differential. So you have a reasonably good setup so that you can take it off the road. As you can see, this is a pretty bad terrain to come to, and I have to navigate through some very bad surfaces. This car took all of that, and it's ride without a problem. So off-roading capability of this car should be decent. We are going to be doing a separate off-road review of this car, by the way. The audio system here is a Sony 12 speaker system with 2-channel amplifier, and the quality is pretty good. Unless you are a super duper audiophile level sound enthusiast, you should not need to change this. This is a pretty good sounding audio system, so that should not be a problem. In terms of features, maybe this could have had a few features like front ventilated seats, or maybe auto dimming ORVMs, but the wish list can be very long. You have to understand that this is good value for money product. 360-degree camera is not there, but front and rear cameras are there, so a good balance of features has been created here. So you have to understand that. Now, in that context, this is still a connected car and comes with Alexa, because if I say that word loudly, it listens to that and it will start talking. So using the feature that I just talked about, you can also use what 3 words and navigate to any place in the world by just stating those 3 words. So that again is a fantastic feature that they have provided here. 70 plus connected features, and you can remotely turn the car on and off using Alexa. And that again is a great feature. Now you have dual zone climate control, which generally is not there, and you can control the temperature on both the sides, and you have a phenomenal safety suite as well. So the entire structure of this car is all new. You have higher torsional rigidity, you have stronger materials, it's lighter as well, plus it also gets all 4 discs. It comes with ESP, traction control, vehicle stability control, it comes with hill hold, it comes with rollover protection system, traction control is there. All of that has been taken care of, and I'm pretty sure that in NCAP ratings this will get 4 or 5 stars. So I'm pretty sure that this is going to be very safe. It also comes with 6 airbags, ABS, etc. So in that sense, it's a very well appointed car. The sunroof, as you can see, is really wide, and you can operate it like so with one touch. The blinds are of course manual. Speakers are everywhere in the roof. Here you don't have a vanity mirror. here you do, and it also comes with illumination, so that's a great feature. You don't have auto dimming mirrors, although you do get wireless charging, which is great, and I really appreciate that Mahindra have offered this feature. You have two USB sockets. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are wireless. That again is a great feature. You have this wide armrest, and as you can see here, I have put my wallet and my sunglass holder, so a lot of space underneath. Two cup holders. And if you really talk about the open storage bins that you have, it's not probably the most generous of the cars, because they could probably have been a few more open spaces, but I'm not finding it lacking either. So this space, this space, this space, and the space in the door panels makes it sufficient for the front two people to store whatever knickknacks they may have. All in all, it's a rugged SUV, but for that they have upped the game, and now it's reasonably premium. It's not the most premium of the cars, but it's reasonably good and very, very well appointed. I don't have any complaints with what they have given here. You can always have a wish list, but for every box that you tick, you have to pay extra money, and you have to remember that. Visibility is amazing. I love the way the bonnet looks from here, but I'm pretty sure that you want to know how the car feels from behind. How much space do we have in the third row, and what amenities do we have in the back seat? Let's go there and find out. Now, just like the front, the seating at the rear is also pretty high. Let's have a look at the door panel first, and you have soft to touch material here, contrasting stitching, piano black, and the button for the windows, titanium handles, finished titanium, of course. It's not the titanium material. 1 liter water bottle. The door opens wide enough, and you can use the floorboard to get inside, although you don't have a handle here, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, once you get inside, I'll complain about one thing and then talk about an amazing feature. So the complaint that I have is that these seats are not sliding. Had they had the sliding function, the occupants in the third row would have had a little more knee room, because there's enough and more room here for someone to just slide the seat forward and make for some space for the people in the back. Now, the great thing that you have here is the fact that you can recline the seat like so, and that really enhances your comfort over longer journeys. So this is a great feature, and I really love that you have this amazing feature here. As you can see, ample knee room, ample leg room, scooped out seat back, so even more space. And then you have this pocket here for your phone, and then some more space to spare. Fantastic thigh support, great back support as well, good contouring, and the padding here is also of a very good quality. So all in all, the suspension is good, the seating is good. So if you're going to be sitting here, you are going to be in a very, very comfortable place. Plenty of headroom as well, so even if you're 6'3", there should not be a problem. The great thing about this car is that it's really wide, and the central part of the seat is flat, so you can actually seat three here for medium to even long journeys, I would say. You have AC vent here, and I think that's one feature that I'm going to complain about again, because it's a big car and I would have wanted more AC vents in the rear as well. So you just have this set of AC vents for the entire cabin, which might not be sufficient on a hot day. This is a cool day, but I'm not very sure about a hot day. You don't have two USB sockets, just one Type-C USB socket. This seat itself is 60-40 split, which is fantastic, and you also get this armrest, which is great. Two cup holders, adjustable headrests on either ends, but the middle headrest is integrated. Isofix child seat mounts, reading lights for the middle row, door handle, coat hook on both the ends, and you have plenty of space all around. Good visibility, a lot of light coming in, so no complaints from a comfort or space perspective for the middle row, and the fact that it reclines is an added bonus. So while I have no complaints apart from the sliding function of the middle row, which by the way is beneficial for the third row, not for the second row, the third row is what I'm pretty sure you're interested in, and let's go there and see how good or bad it is. Now, before I get into the third row, you have to understand that getting inside and getting out also has to be pretty comfortable, convenient for the person who's getting in or out, and for that you have to tumble the seat, and this mechanism here has to be one of the best. Just with one hand you can completely tumble the seat, and the opening that you get here also is pretty good. You have this pad here where you can put your foot and get inside, so getting inside is a breeze. And now you are ready to see how much space we have here. Myself being 5'10", as you can see, my knees are gently rubbing against the back of the second row, and the space here is not the most generous. Although these windows are big, headroom is sufficient, but knee room could definitely have been better. The seat could have been higher, and for the 6-seater variant you'll have more leg room, of course, because there would be an aisle where you can extend your leg. But for the 7-seater, this is not the most generous space that I've seen. The Safari has more space, but you can seat children here, and shorter people also can sit here for short to medium journeys, no problem. But I have some complaints about this row as well. You don't have any AC vents, as I mentioned. You don't have any cup holders, and you also don't have any USB sockets. So if you're sitting here, you are basically going to be the third grade passenger with no amenities and very little space. So this is basically meant only for short to medium journeys. Usable, but not the most amenity rich or the most comfortable, but definitely usable if you're going out for, say, a short drive within the city to a cinema, or maybe even a 100-kilometer drive. You can have people seated here, so it is usable. I would have wanted more amenities though. You have these two lights and a handle here. Just the way it was to get in, getting out also is not all that difficult. And all in all, a usable seat, not entirely unusable, but could probably have been a little bit more spacious. Now there are things that you have and things that you want. If you want something more premium, probably you would want to go with something else, but this car can do everything that an SUV should do, and in that sense this is fantastic value for money. Unless you're looking for a more premium look and feel or a better brand per se, this car has all the functionality and all the capability, and in terms of pricing also, this just demolishes everything around it. It's going to cannibalize a lot of sales from various different segments, and it will don a lot of different roles. I'm pretty sure this is going to cannibalize into the sales of the XUV700 also. Now if you look at the pricing of the Scorpio, it starts from 12 lakh rupees and goes till 19.5 lakh rupees. Compare this with its closest rival, say the Safari, which starts at 15.3 lakh rupees and goes till 23.5 lakh rupees. The XUV700 starts from 13.2 and goes till 25 lakh rupees. Even the Alcazar starts at 16.5 and goes till 20.3 lakh rupees. The Hector Plus goes from 16 till 20.75. Only the smaller vehicles like the Seltos and the Creta start at a lower 10.2 lakh rupees. So in that sense, it undercuts everything by a huge margin and represents fantastic value. So that really means that it's a fantastic value for money proposition, and no matter which SUV you are buying, if you're doing that without test driving this one, you are committing a cardinal sin. It's really an amazing vehicle, very functional, very practical. And unless you're looking for something which has more brand value, probably this is all that you would need. It's a fantastically built vehicle, and you should definitely take a test drive of this vehicle. I really hope that I was able to answer all your questions about the Scorpio N in this detailed review. And my request to you would be, if you like good quality content, don't promote garbage. Good content takes time. It takes time from us to research vehicles, then to create content, and a little bit of patience from you goes a long way in promoting people who really want to talk about automobiles the way they should. So if you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Motoroids, share this video with your friends, and until next time, this is your friend Amit Changani signing off. Rev hard, rev free, and drive safe.